Hey guys, it is Megan. I am back with another video. This will be my October wrap up. Unfortunately, I did get diagnosed with vertigo this month, and so that set me back with my reading level and everything. If you don't know what vertigo is basically having the spins a lot every time you move. You're literally spinning, and so yeah. So unfortunately, I only got to read 6 books. 2 of them were I was just listening to on Audible, and the rest were physical copies. So let me start out with the physical copies. I did read a trilogy this month, and I did try to keep it with the spooky vibe, but honestly I miss my romance, so some of these are spooky, some of them are spooky and romance, some of them are just romance. So the trilogy I started with was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Everyone knows what this is by now, I'm gonna guess. But it follows Pip, and she's doing a senior project, and she decides to investigate further on Andy Bell's case, and she believes that the suspect that allegedly killed Andy Bell is innocent, and so that's where this one starts. And then Good Girl, Bad Blood. This one's kind of the same thing, but one of her friend's brothers goes missing, and that's how she kind of investigates this one. And then As Good as Dead, this one she ends up actually being the victim, not the suspect, the victim of a crime, and basically how she deals with that and being in a situation as the victim and how she, reacts and everything. And this is how this one goes. The first book was really good. It kept me super intrigued, super I wanted to flip the page. I wanted to know more because I'm just who did it? And then that's how I also felt about this one too, but not as much. This one I feel honestly could have just been a standalone and would have been great. But then this one is okay, so this one's a 4 out of 5 stars, then it's a 3 out of 5. And then this one, I just felt it was so repetitive, and it's just I was just kind of burnt out, so I gave this one honestly a 2 out of 5. But I still would suggest you guys picking up this, at least the first book. I mean, the first book was super good. And then we move along because I just couldn't do spookiness anymore, or the thriller mystery anymore. I needed to take a break at least for a little bit on that one. I read this book, I Wish You All the Best by Mason Dever. So this one follows Ben. He is queer, and he ends up trying to come out to his parents. His parents do not accept him, and so he's literally kicked out. And so he goes to the nearest payphone, and he calls his sister Hannah. Hannah and his parents, or Hannah and Ben's parents, don't get along with Hannah at all. And Hannah hasn't seen Ben, or Ben hasn't seen Hannah in 10 years since she's left the house. And so when Ben calls Hannah, she's like, "Oh, hi Ben, I haven't spoken to you or talked to you in 10 years. And Ben is asking her to pick him up. And so she does, and she doesn't ask him any questions or anything. She just lets him sleep that first night. But then in the morning, he ends up coming out to his sister, and his sister's husband is actually a teacher at a school. And so Ben gets enrolled into this new school and then meets Nathan. Nathan is super outgoing, he's super nice and everything, and he just tries to have Ben open up. And Ben is kind of closed off at first. He's obviously just been kind of traumatized, over the whole thing, that his parents didn't accept him, got kicked out with nothing, and so after a while, Ben actually ends up opening up to Nathan, and that's how their friendship kind of starts out. And then it probably goes from there. And this was just honestly so wholesome book. It's a topic that a lot of people, I feel like, do not talk about nowadays. I feel like, only sometimes talk about like the good coming out stories, and this is honestly, it brings light to the negative coming out stories and what happens to those kids. And it's just such a, it honestly stuck with me so much, because I was just like, you know, like it brought sight to that. And that's why I love this book so much, is like, because it talked about a topic that, you know, you don't often hear enough. And obviously society is changing a lot, but it really stuck with me, this book. And I would really suggest, if you like, you read it. It was so good. Okay, and then the last two books, they were on Audible. I have this like little book that I keep all my books in that I've read. Okay, so the next book, I try to get back into the spooky season, and I read Verity by Colleen Hoover. Verity follows, okay, let me just try to explain it. Okay, so Verity is a writer. Verity got in a car accident and is no longer able to write this series that she's been writing, and so she ends up, her husband ends up actually trying to speak with new publishers and stuff like that, and she ends up finding Lowen. Lowen is like a first-time writer. I think she's written like only one book, and she ends up, like, she originally doesn't get the, like, Jeremy wants her to take the job, which is Verity's husband, but she says no, because she's like, no dude, Verity is like super high up here and Lowen's like right here, you know, in her writing career and stuff. But obviously Lowen says yes after a while, and it kind of goes from there. There is chapters in the book where Lowen is reading Verity's autobiography and finds some really creepy stuff, and basically Lowen doesn't think that Jeremy knows his wife as quite as well as he thinks he does, and so it kind of goes on from there. Some romance happens, you know, some really spooky stuff happens. Okay, it's like jaw-dropping. And then I started The Start of Us by Lauren Blakely. That is a trilogy. I've only read the first one this month, but I am on the second one. The first one starts with, it's just like about a couple through the whole 3 books. It's not like a book for, or couple for each different book, but this one follows the same couple. It's Harley and Trey. Harley, in the first book, she ends up going to this tattoo parlor and meets Trey. Trey is her tattoo artist, obviously, and instantly there's just a connection, and she ends up getting a tattoo. It's a red ribbon, and you get to know why she got a red ribbon later on. But she ends up actually getting coffee with Trey afterwards, and you know, sparks flying. They had a great night together, but they can only have this one night, because both of their lives are gonna change tomorrow. And so when Trey asks for Harley's number, she's like, no, if fate wants us to be together, if they want us to find each other again, then they will. And they do. So Harley is actually a phone sex addict thing, and Trey, he likes to go for older women, like cougars and stuff. And so Harley is forced to go to this sex addict meeting. Trey is not. Trey is just voluntarily going because he feels like he needs to go. Also, Harley's getting blackmailed if she doesn't go, so there's some kind of, you know. But so in this meeting, they're obviously struck. They're like, whoa, like, you're here, fate wanted us to meet again. And so that's how it kind of goes, and it's really, really, really good. At first I was like, oh no, it's gonna be like insta love, and I guess sorta is, but like with this sex addict stuff, they can't really be in a relationship together. They have to be friends, and so it kind of goes off to, you know, them being friends and working through their issues together, and it's just a really beautiful story. but I'm on the second book now, and we'll see how that goes in my November wrap up. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm so sorry that it was late. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, like I just said, and I hope you hit that subscribe button and give me a like, and I will see you guys in my next video.